Trent, thank you so much for chatting with me about your incredible short, I'm Not a Robot. I loved the film so much, so I'm thrilled to talk to you and learn more about it. I appreciate your time.
Thanks for having us.
That's a nice start to have a
Yes.
conversation.
Absolutely. Well, of course, we do have to start with your Oscar nomination. Congratulations on the success. Where were you both when you found out about the nomination?
Well, we're at home watching the live stream. And it was the first time like actually watching it, real time. And I never realized that it goes by so quickly.
Yeah.
Like before you know it, like the nominations are out. So when that happened and our film title was there, I was like, oh my God, did that really happen? But we recorded it, so we have proof. And the fact that we're here is proof already.
Right, right.
But also it was nice because we have a Danish producer, Kim Magnuson, who's our executive producer, and he was on the other line of the computer with a Zoom, but his feed was, I think, 20 seconds faster. So we saw him on the screen and he was doing like this. And we were like, but is he already? And he was not extremely happy, but he was doing like this, but we didn't know yet. And you were saying, is Kim, is
Is he
he cheering?
And it was really confusing.
It was really confusing.
Yeah, but we were over the moon. We were like screaming, and our dog kept barking for a while because she had no idea what was happening. But it's really fun to have recorded it because
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Before recording, we thought we were not going to record it because we thought, we don't like that. But now we're happy that we recorded it.
Yeah, yeah.
That's amazing. And it's great, specifically for this film, that you guys encountered a sort of technical challenge along the way of hearing the Oscar nomination. I think that's so fitting for your film. That's
It
great.
is. Yeah, it is.
It is, yeah.
But we are thrilled that the nomination happened because the film is wonderful. Let's start right at the beginning. Where did you get started with this idea, Victoria? I understand that you encountered a CAPTCHA that you just couldn't get past.
No,
Just checking, you're not a robot, right? Are we sure about this?
No, we are
not
not.
yet.
Not
No.
yet.
Good to know.
It's funny because I still keep failing those tests, and it's funny because now that other people have seen the short, watching the short, like filling out a CAPTCHA is probably never the same again. And I secretly I'm really loving that because, I'm also, a huge fan of films like Being John Malkovich, and I can never see John Malkovich in, a different
Same
light.
way
Like,
again.
yeah, it's so funny how a film can change that slightly.
Perspective.
But yeah, I was just getting through those not getting through those captchas and thought, okay, that's a way to find out you're a robot, which was funny at first, but then it took a darker turn pretty quickly in my head. And I remember us talking about this idea, and we were really excited about it, but I think it felt like a strong, premise for a film because there's so much to this concept of, like questioning, like, okay, but what if your reality is not what you thought it was? And also topics like, okay, but for instance, like what is free will when you talk about robots and being programmed? I feel like, in a way, we are all programs because of our background and our upbringing and our genes. So that was a very interesting exploration, all of these questions. And yeah, I still don't have the answer to that. Like free will is still a mind-boggling theme. But it's fun to explore those sort of questions in a light and fun way in a short film.
Yeah, also the question, what makes us human, we were talking about. We also don't have the answer, but that was also something that we talked about a lot, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I love hearing you reference Being John Malkovich as a film that you love, and I see a lot of tonal similarities between those films. I love the tone of I'm Not a Robot. It's shot like a thriller or a drama, but it's a very funny film. How did you find the right way to balance the tone of this piece?
Yeah, well, I think, what you mentioned is right. Like, I knew it was a funny premise and concept at first, but I always approach it as a serious drama, because I think to her, like to the main character, Lara, played by the amazing Ellen Parren, like, the questions she has and the existential crisis she experienced, like that's not funny. And my taste in film and comedy is always like to approach comedy in a serious way. I think that's the only right approach to comedy. Because I think, drama and comedy, like that line is so thin. Like there is so much drama in humor and so much humor in drama. So yeah, I think that was a very organic process of like, and I think it's also, part of who I am. Like I would never write a very serious like drama, just drama. I always approach life and the films I make with a sort of dry sense of humor. So yeah, that was very, very organic.
Yeah, but you also said something about the thriller aspect of it. But I noticed when you were talking about the camera, because it's dramatic to her, but at the same time, from the beginning, you were like the lightning and the atmosphere had to had a thriller atmosphere. So it's nice that you picked that up.
And it was also, I always also wanted to challenge myself, sort of mixing this with different genres, and the thriller genre is something I really like to explore. So it was also this fun exploration for me as a filmmaker to integrate that. And this concept was perfect for that, because it is very eerie, it is it is terrifying in a way.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and I know that this film has been in process for a number of years, but the conversation around AI and the role of tech in our lives has only gotten more and more prominent. Did the way that AI has sort of invaded our lives impact the way that you told this story, or make it even more impactful?
Well, the funny thing is that we actually wrote and shot this film, almost before before ChatGPT and the whole like, increasing tech bubble. So yeah, I think I think that's a testament to human sort of exploration and fascination for technology, but also for humanoids, because I think from like the very early Metropolis and film history, people are so fascinated by this topic. And I think, of course, when we had to postpone the shoot for like 2 times because of COVID, that's a bummer, because, the whole team has prepared the shoot, and in a weird sense, when we had to cancel the shoot a day before, it feels like you've already shot the film. And then you have to start that process all over again. So that was a bummer. But at the same time, I feel like, the moment that this film came out and ChatGPT was such a topic for people, and still is, and all the AI stuff now going on, I feel like it was the perfect timing for the film.
Yeah. So your answer was, did it influence the development? Or your question was influence development? No, it didn't. But the nice thing is exactly what you say. When it came out, the film was even more relevant.
Yeah.
So that I think influenced it, because if it had come out 2 years ago, which could have been the option, it might not have been received that well.
Yeah, I mean, I still think it's impactful either way, but it's certainly the prominence of the conversation certainly makes it stand out. That's for sure. Well, I understand that you wrote this lead role of Laura for Ellen. Is that right? Tell me about why she was this muse for you in writing this role.
Yeah, well, I have like this sort of list, like wish list of people I want to work with, and she was on that list, like on the top of that list for a long time, because she is theater actress as well, and she has her own company, and she's also a creator, writer, and she has this like very absurd style that I really admire, and I think she has the ability to approach comedy with such seriousness. And so that's why she was on my list. And then when I met her, we have a couple of similarities. I remember, that was at the premiere. My mom was there as well, and she was like, she met her, and she was like, "Oh, but you are the same. You are almost the same person. Like we are really alike, and we have the same sort of approach and working style." So I'm just really glad that I had the opportunity to work with her and met her, and now we became friends. And it's so fun to work with people with the same sensibilities because it's so much easier. Like as a director, you always have to explain everything 1,000 times, which is my job. So I'm used to it, but it's so easy when you meet people and work with people like on that are on the same page. And yeah, that makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, it's nice that you mentioned Ellen as her muse, because now that you mentioned it, I was like, because we've made 2 short films before, and in the 2 short films, Henry van Loon, which is the male actor who's playing her boyfriend in I'm Not a Robot, is in these films. And we always say Henry is Victoria's muse.
And now I have two.
Now you have two.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's also, I'm really proud of Ellen, and she did an amazing job. And I just like one of the, biggest opportunities now is like, or the most exciting things is that people from all over the world can watch this film, especially within the academy. Like those people in the academy, there are like, super cool professionals who are like it's not like, it's not nothing to show your film to professionals. And I'm really excited for Ellen because she is half American. She has an American passport. And I think she deserves a broader audience. So I'm like, okay, I'm just very excited that all those, big professionals in the academy can watch her performance and hopefully cast her in their next film. That would be amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I can't wait to see what she does next. And I love the opening of this film as well. I don't want to skip over that. The music that opens this, the version of Creep sets the stage so well for the tone, the very specific tone of this piece. Did you always know that was the song that you wanted to open with, or did you play with other options?
No, that was the only option for me.
There were
Like
no other options.
I was writing it, listening to that song, and I was like, oh my God, this is perfect. And it's funny because when you're writing a film, suddenly you see, related topics everywhere. Like when you're, for example, I'm not, this has nothing to do with the film, but I always hear that when people are pregnant, then they see pregnant. Yeah, everyone. Yeah.
When you have a blue car.
Yeah, that's the same when you're writing a film. So then you are sort of like, more open to those sort of things. And I was listening to that song and specifically this version. And, I think this version was already used in the teaser of the Social Network, but also some other films.
Yeah.
But it was just too perfect also because the women choir is a bit eerie in this song. Like it's beautiful, but also eerie. So I think that's, really hits the tone of the film. And funnily enough, the choir is a Belgian choir, which is next to the Netherlands, the country next to the Netherlands. And it's a Belgian co-production. And our co-producer, Henri Gillet, he worked in music for huge part of his life, so we could ask him to approach the choir.
Yeah, he reached out to the choir, and then he asked their permission, and they said, well, of course you can use it, but that's good for us, but you have to ask permission to the composers.
Yeah.
And then of course we had to reach out to the record company of the Radiohead people, but it was and then it took a couple of months, but it's easier to ask permission if you already have permission from the performance, we noticed.
Yeah, I can't imagine that it opening without that. I'm glad that worked out. But Victoria, I read an interview with you where you said that the first like section of the edit, maybe I think you said 70% of the edit, you hated the film and you felt like you didn't even want to release it. How did you break through that and find this final film on the other side?
Yeah, that's a good
Just
question.
move on.
Just move, yeah, keep going. And I think I was also very happy that Trent, who was, doing the edit, he was sitting next to us, and he's also very involved in the edit always. He, he kept, you were positive about it the whole time, and the editor as well. So at some point I thought, okay, maybe I just have to trust these people who are, way more experienced than I am. So this was a very good lesson in like trusting the process. And because as a writer director, you're on set the least, like the people around you and the crew on set and the editor and everyone else is way more experienced usually. So that was a really humble lesson in trusting the process. And yeah, but it's true, I hated it at first, and now I'm like, if I only knew that
the film was going to be nominated
for an Oscar, So
but the thing is, it also has to do with your character. She's a perfectionist. So, for instance, first version of the script she writes, for her it should be the perfect version, which of course is impossible. Same with the editing. You like when it's like 90% there, then she loves the fine tuning, and then it will be even better. But before that, when it's a script or when it's edited, it's just difficult for you.
Yeah.
You want the first version to be, oh, this is it, it's perfect, but it doesn't work like that. So letting go or trusting the process is something that comes along, I think, while making more films.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if there was something specific that wasn't working for you, or if it was just self-doubt, things like that. Was it more just that doubting, wanting it to be perfect?
Probably we would differ in opinions here.
Oh, that's interesting. No, I think like it's funny because when you're in the edits and you're editing, like, and you have other people coming to the edit and say something about it, you always say, oh, but you have to, I don't know if this is the right expression in English, but you have to see through, like you have to see the whole picture, and not focusing on but for some reason I can't do that myself. So what I see is like everything that is not working. So I think this is also something that comes with experience. And I was just like, the flow isn't right. Like, and if like I really had to, sort of like do it step by step and scene by scene. And I think we discussed this as well. When I'm going to do a feature film, I think I don't want to do like a first edit like for the whole film, but I think I have to approach it like scene by scene. So that was also a good lesson, I think.
And the other lesson is that because you're so meticulous and very much in detail, and with the comedy, every cut is so important. So for the feature film, that's also something we learned, is that normally maybe you would edit a feature film in, I don't know, 70 or 80 days. And in the case of Victoria, it will be more. It will probably 120 days, 100, which is fine. If you know it before, it's fine. If you find it out during the editing, then of course there's a problem. But if you know before, you can plan it.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
Well, I think that's a great transition to my last question here. I had heard as I was doing some research, I saw that you were writing 2 features. Are there any updates on those? Is there anything you can tell us about the features that you're working on?
Yeah. Well, I was writing 2 features, but now I paused one.
Okay.
I'm actually writing the feature version of I'm Not a Robot. And especially with the whole momentum now, I think that's it's good that it's my main focus, because I just want to explore more of this world and characters, and her arc as this robot, like women finding out that she's a robot, and then going on this self-exploration and sort of journey of like autonomy, finding her autonomy. So yeah, I'm busy writing that first feature.
That's amazing. I'm so excited. I watch a lot of these shorts, and it's not often that I want to see a feature version of the shorts. Some of them are perfectly suited to a short, but I am
Yeah.
very excited for this one to be a feature. So that's exciting news. I love it.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh,
Thanks.
that's good.
Awesome. Well, Victoria and Trent, again, congratulations. I love the film, and best of luck as we get closer to the Oscars.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much.
Thank you both.